Natalie and Alycia Bollinger are junkies. Well, were. Natalie's dead. Alicia's not, though. It is my number one goal in life not to kill anybody, even on accident. It is my number two goal in life to die before Alycia does. I for certainly would like to die first. Here's the thing about cruelty. Cruelty is everywhere. Now, whether or not you are willing to step in and put a stop to it generally comes down to popularity. And what is popularity based on? Looks and money. Natalie and Alycia Bollinger lied about me repeatedly. But I was never allowed to defend myself in court. I was assumed to be guilty. Law enforcement wanted me to be guilty. They committed multiple felonies because they knew that they would get away with it, because the news media does not care about the fucking homeless. Meanwhile, why was I forced into homelessness? Oh, yeah, because Natalie Bollinger was shot in the head and people assumed that I killed her. Everything that could be done to prevent me from having an honest court date was done. Last night, a lady got a hold of me named Dez. Dez is friends, or used to be friends, with Natalie's mother. Apparently, my older brother told Desiree that she should have known well enough to stay dead. Fuck you, Eric Christopher Schwartz. You're a piece of shit. You could have tried being an actual brother at any point in the last 5 years. Matter of fact, any point in the last 10 years. But what's this video really about? It's about bias. It's about hatred. It's about how the police didn't have to do their jobs. They just wanted to assume that these junkies were telling the truth. And that me, who doesn't do drugs, must be lying because I have a penis, because I'm not good looking. That's what it came down to, and that's still what it comes down to today. Now, there's quite a few different channels that have done videos on me. Mostly, they're supposed to be videos on Natalie, apparently. But they're really not. They're selling entertainment at the cost of human lives. Now, there's one of these videos that, here it is, Sean Schwartz, a person of interest in the Natalie Bollinger's death. By Boulder Daily Camera. Let's press play on this. Oh, come on now. I don't want to be listening to these fucking ads. Also, I've been instructed not to speak to y'all, but I got a few more fingers for you.
Well, do you know what happened to her?
No. You know who does?
Tell me.
How would I know? What happened to Natalie?
What do you guys know? All I know is from Facebook Messenger, and I hate Facebook.
What did Facebook Messenger say?
It doesn't matter. You need to get a hold of the police and talk to them.
Well, apparently you are the interest of this case, so why were you a suspected interest in this case?
I was not a suspect. I was a person of interest, and I heard that. I saw it on a news report. I have not yet heard that from the police. Now, if you guys would like to, you can go contact the Broomfield Police Department and you can ask them for whatever information that you feel is pertinent. However, my rights have been violated for the last week, and you guys are seriously all up in my bubble and freaking me out. You're seriously giving me a panic attack. Well done, sir.
There's a guy in town, he tells me often, I was watching the news and I saw you came out and gave everyone the bird. That's right, that's how this video started. It was live on TV, me coming out of the courthouse after being assaulted by a police officer named Waylon Lolatai, and then charged with assault against a police officer, which makes you a target for law enforcement for the rest of your life. Dumbass. Let me tell you how screwed up this is. Let's say a black man tries to rob a white man in that white man's house, and that white man beats that black man down. Was that black man beaten down because he was black? No, he was beaten down because he broke into somebody's fucking house and was trying to fucking hurt people. His situation ain't much different. See, here's the thing, because that's only part of the scenario. Let's say that black man wants to pretend like he was invited to that household and he was the one assaulted, and wants to pretend it was because of the color of his skin. That lighter's dead. Now, let's say that scenario is all over the news. Black man beaten up for the color of his skin. Black man coaxed to a racist person's house and beaten down. Now that white guy is the victim. He is the victim in that scenario. But because it's all over the news, that white guy is getting treated like he's a racist. He's got people threatening his life because he's a supposed racist, when in reality, the black man who broke into his house is the one who is not only the racist, but also crying wolf. What's the difference between the Natalie Bollinger situation and mine? I wasn't crying wolf. I had proof, and still have proof, of Natalie Bollinger's friends doing the things that I said they did, including threatening to kill me and threatening to kill my family. That includes Tim Beeson. Now that scenario, does that mean that all black people are breaking into people's houses? No, that wasn't even a real scenario. Now, I'm sure things like that have happened. But the point of the matter is that that poor dude, for having someone come into his house and assault him, that guy is treated like he is the predator. Because black people can pretend no matter what happens that it's racist. Oh, they only did it because I'm black. No, he did it because you're a fucking asshole who broke into his house and fucking assaulted him. I told on my predators. I saved the proof, and I keep showing the proof on Facebook and YouTube, hoping that somebody out there, just one person, will give enough of a shit to find out what's going on and actually take an active role in it. I don't need any more of your pretty fucking words. Thank you for your pretty words, okay? Does that make you feel better? Now that we got that the fuck out of the way, your pretty words aren't helping. Your pretty words do not get me an honest day in court. Your pretty words do not get me a lawyer. Your pretty words do not get my friends and family back. Your pretty words don't get my funding back. I have spent tens of thousands of dollars since Natalie died trying to get a fucking court date. Meanwhile, the tactics that the police use when you try to turn them in are the same here in Nebraska as they are in Colorado, the same as they are in Washington State. If you try to turn in a bad cop, you get abused by more bad cops because there is no such thing as a good cop. Look at the definition for pain compliance. Then look up the definition for torture. They are exactly the same thing. These cops from Chapel, Nebraska were involved in the situation between me and Natalie Bollinger and Tim Beeson all the way back in 2017 before Natalie Bollinger was killed. Natalie Bollinger didn't run around saying that I was a rapist. She didn't run around saying I was a child molester. But she did lie. She lied and said that I stalked her, and people jumped to their own conclusions. They assumed that she was telling the truth. They assumed. And then they assumed that it was okay to harm me. And all of these people used the same excuse to get away with their crimes. Not to try to get away with their crimes, but to actually get away with those crimes. You know what that label is? You know what that term is? You know what that excuse is? I'm going to spell it out for you. Mentally ill. mentally. Mentally ill. That's the word right there. Natalie Bollinger, her last public post was straight up slander. And the very end of it, she calls me mentally ill. Mentally ill. That is always an insult. There is never a time that that is not an insult. Now, let me tell you why the disabled have it worse than black people. You call a black person the N-word in court, you're the one getting in trouble, not that black person. You call somebody mentally ill, that person no longer has a voice. Not even one of my public pretenders listened to what I had to say. Not even one of my public pretenders made an effort to get the evidence that was required. Now in this, I should have talked to those people from the media. But I listened to Amanda Bailhash, my public pretender. You know what she got for committing the felonies that she committed? She is now a judge in Adams County, which is where Natalie Bollinger was shot in the head. In addition, she cannot be pursued for the crimes that she committed in Boulder, Colorado, because she's in a different jurisdiction. And then there's the fact that I have not been able to go to Colorado and turn in my predators ever. These officers did the same thing that Natalie and Alycia Bollinger did. They outright lied out their ass. Meanwhile, I can prove that they lied. Now, there's a lot of comments in here from a lot of asshats who think that it's okay that they treated me the way that they did and continue to do so. So let's take a look at this one. Let's see. Someone calling himself Leaf Larson typed, "Where is Sean's apology from those accusers?" Thank you, Leaf. I typed, "They are too busy abusing me to worry about an apology." They use the courts to illegally prevent me from defending myself. They use the jails to do that as well. They did everything that they could to cover for bad officers, child molesters, and fucking junkies. I am not a bad cop. I am not a child molester. I am not a junkie. But guess who is a bad cop? Scott DaCosta, Patrolman Lassen. That's a good start right there. Waylon Lolatai. Now, I have been speaking out about some pretty major fucking issues. I spoke out about the situation in Hardin, Montana, 10 months before Selena Not Afraid disappeared. And guess what? People wanted to get on me and get on my case and pretend like I had killed her to try to alleviate their pressure. It must be a white guy's fault. No, Selena Not Afraid was straight up murdered by Native Americans. MMIW, missing and murdered indigenous women. Most of these missing and murdered indigenous people are killed by other indigenous people. If they don't find the killer, you blame a white guy. Not fucking okay. Lauren Ralph typed, "I can't believe after all these years people still give you shit even though it's been proven you didn't." Well, here's the thing. Sheriff Scott DaCosta, he's still sheriff here. He was the sheriff before Natalie was killed. His deputies outright ignored me, told me that they had real police work to do, and that I just needed to man up. That was before Natalie was killed. Now, a lot of people want to accuse me of things that I didn't do. You threatened to kill Natalie and her family. No, the fuck I didn't. No, the fuck I didn't. When I finally got to the point where I was willing to threaten people back, there was only one Bollinger who was threatened. That was Ted Bollinger. That's Natalie Bollinger's dad. And that was well after Natalie was fucking dead. Did I threaten to kill Natalie? No. Did I threaten to kill anyone in her family? One. After she was dead. Well after she was dead. That was her dad. Ted Bollinger, who raped her, who had her selling drugs on Pearl Street in Boulder, Colorado when she was 13 years old. Lauren Ralph typed, I think people just need to stop and leave you alone to live your life in peace. Well, here's the thing, is that it went beyond that point already. I should have been allowed to defend myself. I was prevented from defending myself in social media. I was prevented from defending myself in court. I was prevented from defending myself in the media. Yeah, that destroyed every aspect of my life, as well as taking every resource that I had. Meanwhile, I had to depend on junkies. Why did I have to depend on junkies? Because the rest of the world doesn't give a fuck. If you're different, you are a throwaway. You are trash. You don't matter as a human being. Chloe Chang typed, hey Sean, long time no chat. The law is unjust. You're right. But also the law is not followed. That's an important point to make. Now, each and every one of my predators have shown time and again that I was telling the truth about them. The crimes that I committed, and I did commit crimes, the crimes that I committed were out of desperation to try to get help. Because the people who were promising to help me were wasting my goddamn time. Miss Peaches, that's Kayla Trujillo. She knows a lot about the situation. She's also pissed off at me because I told the truth about her. What did you expect? You had the chance. You had the opportunity. You could have come forward at any point in time and told the truth. Any of these people could have. Between telling the truth and breaking the law, what did Natalie choose to do? She broke the law. She wanted to hide her crimes. Between telling the truth and breaking the law, Officer Waylon Lolatai chose to break the law. Officer Jared Hahn chose to break the law. Officer Michael Beard chose to break the law. And that's just getting started. State Patrolman Lassen chose to break the law. It's horrible. The thing is, once you have put certain labels on people, they are stuck with those labels for life. The only chance that I have of removing those labels is to have an honest day in court, and they've done everything they can to prevent me from having an honest day in court. Lauren Ralph wrote, I think the laws to be changed because some of them are as old as time and don't work today. Most of them didn't work when they were first started. The laws that are used to victimize and kill my friends and family who are homeless, those were started because of something called the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment was supposed to be the amendment that made slavery illegal. But it's got a little clause in there that says if you're convicted of a crime, that you can still be enslaved. Well, you've got 4 million black people who are all of a sudden homeless. The South went, well, we'll make homelessness illegal. And then they started stuffing black people into chain gangs. But not just black people. Anybody who was homeless could be shoved into a chain gang. Anybody convicted of a crime. You don't have to be convicted, though. So you can be tortured into making a guilty plea, physically and psychologically, as well as financially. I've had to deal with all three. They thought they were going to get me to roll over on some people here in town for things that I wasn't there for. They wanted me to claim that one guy here in town that I was there while he was beating his girlfriend. They wanted me to claim that another guy in town was selling drugs. If he was selling drugs, I'd already spoken out about it. Let's see. Um, Also, I'm trying to change those laws. Allow the disabled to be victimized the way that I have been. Now, if you notice, there's a lot of people who were victimized after me by my same exact predators. Sammy Leon Lawrence IV, Michelle Rodriguez, Zaid Atkinson, just to name a few. Kelly Clark. Yeah. All victims of Waylon Lolatai. Chloe Chang typed, yeah, I've been there. My abuser has never gotten punished because of loopholes in the law. Those loopholes only exist one way. Those magical loopholes are magically closed when that shit happens to you. The courts side with the money. Unfortunately, the police can utilize your funds to try to hide their crimes. Sheriff Scott DaCosta here in Chapel, Nebraska, him and Leslie Snell and registered sex offender Robert Warnick, as well as an officer in Colorado who I know personally, have known since before Natalie was killed and claimed that he investigated the internet stuff for Natalie's case. His name is William Barr. I was trying to turn all of them in January. Most of them I had been trying to turn in since well before January. I was sent to prison. It cost the taxpayers of Dual County $30,000 just for my incarceration. That's not counting the public pretender or the public defender, because one of them actually tried to do her job. They dropped the charges as soon as she started trying to do her job. Just like they dropped the charges in Boulder as soon as I asked for the body cameras. I was charged with assaulting Waylon Lolatai because he assaulted me, and then they had to drop the charges. People in here want to be assholes about it. Now let's read some of this shit. Let's see. Jordan Wright wrote, given his circumstances with Natalie prior to her murder, if they had even a tiny shred of evidence linking him to her murder or crime scene, he would be held on suspicion of murder. Even during the presser, it was stated that Ellie has a lot of info they can't release. Obviously, none of it links it to this man. Now, somebody named Anna Gitana typed a bunch of really rude shit. I'm trying to hit the read more thing. Fuck it. That's not the important one. Someone calling herself Oh Folk typed, I have so much respect for this man and his views on the world. JT typed, I agree. He was dealt a shit hand in life, but he plays that hand and surviving no matter what they throw at him. I typed, thank you, but things have only gotten worse. This video was my release from Boulder County Jail. The cops did wrong, and law enforcement across Colorado have taken part in harassing and threatening me for trying to make a report. I am now out of Colorado for my own safety, resulting in 3 warrants for my arrest. Someone calling himself Mike James wanted to be an asshole. You know what? Matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post the link to this. You guys can go ahead and read the comments. There's only 86 of them. And if that seems like a whole lot to you, I want you to keep in mind that there's already a lot of comments on here. Let's see. First, we'll go to YouTube, and then we will go to Natalie Bollinger. Now, a lot of the places I spoke out about, like Hardin, Montana, now they're calling it the epicenter for this MMIW movement. Well, thank goodness I spoke about it beforehand. While I was treated like I was some sort of a nut job, 2 years later, people are realizing, sort of, that I'm not that nut job. A lot of these guys still just want an excuse to hate someone, though. Now we'll scroll down here. Natalie Holloway murder. Huh. All right, I suppose I should just look at the name of it, because there is a lot to go through. Yep, looks like that's going to be the way that I have to do it. That's right, though. All right. Right here. Copy link address. Let's see. I suppose I should get back to this. Chloe Chang wrote, unless you're the perfect victim, they don't care about you. You're right. You know, I've been reading quite a few law books, and they actually say that in those law books. How to go to trial yourself and all this other shit. And, you know, I read those books, but there's always the mentally ill clause. You have to have a parent or guardian who actually gives a shit. I don't have either one of those. So I'm not allowed to speak. I'm not allowed to show evidence. Lauren Ralph typed, there shouldn't be loopholes to protect people when they have the proof they were guilty. Exactly. Exactly. Right now, I have to be afraid to go to the cops. Every homeless person has to be afraid to go to the cops. Chloe Chang wrote, unfortunately, what I've learned with the law is that morally wrong doesn't equal lawfully wrong. It's fucked up. She also wrote, the minute it deviates from exactly what the law says in the clause, then it's not wrong or illegal. Well, here's the thing, is that we're not dealing with paper, we are dealing with real life. I mean, on paper, it's been more illegal to beat up a black person than a white person since the 1950s. Is it enforced? Hell no. Do we introduce laws that make it so that we can enforce it? Fuck no. Colorado finally passed a law forcing cops to wear body cameras and have them on after the situation with Natalie Bollinger. The things that they got away with are now illegal for them to do, only in the state of Colorado. Here in Nebraska, shit, they still pull that shit. They still repeatedly do not have body cameras. The first time I spoke to Scott DaCosta, he should have been recorded. Now, if you notice, when I speak up about these predators, I'm not just speaking up. I have the evidence. And when they fuck up and do it again and again and again and again, I also save the evidence of that. Waylon Lolatai. You can type his name up. Matter of fact, I'm going to type his name up right now. Let's see. W, and there it is, right at the top, Waylon Lolatai. All right. It says Boulder followed procedure in not investigating officer who took man's walking stick. Now, who is that man? That was Waylon Lolatai. Copy link address, live streaming, blam, blam, paste, and we're good to go. There's some shit on Waylon Lolatai. Let's find another one. There's a bunch of shit from Waylon Lolatai, but we're going to put one up from Clearview Behavioral Health. What about Clearview Behavioral Health? Well, they're closed down now. Why? Because they fucking killed people. Copy link address. This is where I was sent when I told on Waylon Lolatai for assaulting me. Meanwhile, at the time, I didn't even know Waylon Lolatai's name because I was illegally prevented from having it. And their body cameras show that. And that's why they dropped the charges when I was asking for the body cameras instead of pleading guilty to a crime that I didn't commit. They thought they could torture me, literally physically torture me in the Boulder County Jail and get away with it. They thought that if they literally physically tortured me, that I would plead guilty to crimes I didn't commit in order to get out of jail. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to my channel. And we're going to copy link address. This is a conversation with George, one of the witnesses to one of the assaults that I endured in the Boulder County Jail. I was also assaulted at the Arapahoe County Jail. I was also assaulted at the Scottsbluff County Jail repeatedly. I was also repeatedly assaulted while I was in prison in Lincoln for crimes that I didn't even commit. And they had to drop those charges. Just like Waylon Lolatai and his crooked ass buddies on the police force had to drop those charges. And I was assaulted and drugged at Clearview Behavioral Health. And then they charged me with assault, and they had to drop those charges. Are you seeing a fucking pattern here yet? Holy Christ. Now let's go to Hardin, Montana. We'll go to missing women of the missing women of Hardin, Montana. Copy link address. This shows my post from the first time I was in Hardin, Montana. Now we're going to look up. We'll go to YouTube and try it. All right. Selena Not Afraid. Do you know what happened to Selena Not Afraid? She was murdered. Now they got some newer stuff out now where they are trying to Indigenous women keep going missing in Montana. Let's see, copy link address. This one's only from 11 months ago. Now, I've been speaking out about homeless people being murdered by exposure. That's the same thing Selena Not Afraid was killed by, exposure. Now, the specific video that I'm looking for is, now mind you, there's a few videos on here from me trying to help find her. So if you scroll through, you're gonna find quite a few. Montana State criminal investigators to intervene in Selena Not Afraid case. Says that was from a year ago. Vigil held in Hardin for Selena Not Afraid. Now, none of these are the ones that I'm looking for. Let's see, autopsy results for Selena Not Afraid expected Thursday. Well, here's the thing. They already said, before they even did her autopsy, Sheriff Big Hair of Bighorn County wanted to claim that she died of natural causes because she died of exposure. No, she was murdered by exposure, straight up. Here it is. Nope, that's not it. But I started watching this guy's video earlier. I'm going to post it up here. I mean, I'm not just showing you just shit from Facebook and just shit from YouTube. I mean, I can show you quite a bit from the actual news stations themselves. Does anybody want to pay any attention to that? Do they? Now, a lot of people want to pretend that I'm racist because I speak out about racism. What I see from the black community is extremely racist. And I am glad for every single black person out there who is not taking part in that racism. I am thankful for every single black person out there who saw that video of those 5 black girls beating on that white girl on the train. I'm thankful for all of the black people who spoke up about how wrong that was for those 5 girls to do. I'm not going to pretend that something is all right because of the color of your skin or because of your profession. If you're a priest and you molest children, or you are a police officer who wants to rape somebody on the hood of your vehicle, you are still child molesters and still rapists and should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Selena Not Afraid should still be alive and would still be alive if it weren't for selfish people. Now, it is true that she was murdered by Native Americans. However, it is not the fact that they are Native Americans that makes it wrong, is it? What makes it wrong is that she was murdered. Police are killing black people. Is it wrong for them to be black? No, it's wrong to kill them. The police are murdering the homeless people at numbers that, if the homeless people had the same population as black people, and they were shot at the same rate that they're killed now, they would account for over 99% of those killed by police. The homeless only have 1/120th the population size of black people. Whether or not you're heard has a lot to do with population size. For the most part, the white community does not see white homeless people as white people or people at all. For the most part, the black community does not see black homeless people as black or as people. So if you are the exception to the rule, I thank you. If you're turning a blind eye and looking the other way, you are just as guilty of the crime. You are just as responsible, and you are an accessory. There's a guy here in town named John. He witnessed a man named Doug Cowden molesting a little girl, and John didn't say anything. But then, after Doug Cowden was dead, John wanted to brag to people that he knew in town that he saw Doug Cowden molest somebody. He sure should have done something. You're right, he should have. Sorry for leaving. I had to get my other lighter. I like pink. The reason I like pink is because pink is the manliest color there is. Why is it the manliest color there is? Because so many men are afraid of the color pink. Now, there's a lot of stuff here to scroll through to find exactly what I want to show you guys. And right now, I got to piss like a Russian racehorse. I don't mean a racehorse in Russia. I mean like a racehorse that's in a fucking hurry to get to the bathroom. So this video is over. Thank you for taking part. I'm sorry it ended up being so long.